Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. Everybody's working for the weekend. Taking care of business every day. Now it's wow, 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 wow. Welcome to the working week.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
Minimum wage. Yeah!
All right, good afternoon and welcome to another edition of The Working Lunch. I'm Sean McGauley.
You were far too early on that intro. You were far.
Bob was giving me
that flow. Bob, you're jumping the gun here.
Pointed at you. You didn't go with it, so
Oh, he was pointing. See, my
the
head
student
was down.
became the master.
Touche, my friend. So, well, welcome to another edition of The Working Lunch. This is, I believe, show number 11?
One of the new year,
One
right?
of the new year. Yes.
So happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year, everyone. How was your holiday, Sean?
It was excellent. And how about yourself?
It was great. I've got 3 young ones, as
Oh yeah.
some folks know out there. 3 little ones that this is the crazy time of year, right?
Yeah. And any New Year's resolutions this year?
Yeah. I'm not going to.
But
I
that's
am
top
not.
secret.
I am not. I think if you share them, they don't come true, right? Is that how it works? Or is that wishes? I don't know.
Maybe.
So for those for maybe some new folks tuning in, the Working Lunch is about workforce development issues and job related issues, but we do kind of go far afield from time to time. Is my microphone, Bob? Is my microphone level okay? Okay. So we do talk about a number of different things in the workforce realm and related to workforce, and we actually have on here our first guest is James Brooks, and James is the Healthy Homes Rehabilitation Specialist for the Executive Office of Economic Development here for the City of Worcester. Welcome to the show, James.
Thanks.
Oh, we can adjust that down here. Boy,
There we go.
There we go.
Thanks for having me today.
So tell me a little bit about the programs that you work with over there as the Healthy Homes Rehabilitation.
Sure. There's several programs. The biggest one we have right now is our lead paint abatement program.
Okay.
There's a little over $2 million grant funded program for lead remediation.
And those are mainly federal dollars that
Those
come
are
in for that
federal
purpose?
dollars through HUD. Yep.
Okay. And now the issue of the dangers of lead paint goes back, geez, since what, like the 80s or?
Lead paint was actually banned in 1978. So
Yeah.
since then, lead paint hasn't been manufactured.
And I believe it's, I heard a number, I don't know if you have kind of top of your head, how many, what percent or how many homes in the Worcester area still have some sort of lead paint.
Sure. Yeah.
I heard that somewhere, and I was kind of shocked that there's still that many homes or apartments or units that have, lead paint. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because Worcester has a fairly old housing stock.
Yeah,
so-
Worcester has one of the oldest housing stocks in the country. Over 50% of the homes in Worcester are built before 1978. So there's a very large percentage of housing stock.
And back then, that was just the norm, right? To have paint.
It was
lead
actually
based?
considered the best quality paint there was. It's very durable. Problem is when it starts chipping and falls off. One of the big things with children is they have a lot of hand to mouth contact, rolling around on floors, sucking their thumb, that type of thing. So that's really
very
what becomes a
common
danger.
too to actually eat some of the paint or whatever.
Sure.
That was kind of one of the fears, right?
Exactly.
Back in the day.
Exactly. Yeah, and still is.
And-
Still is a
and-
few.
Sean, you ever eat paint chips? I can't say down in Uxbridge. I want to say that wasn't
That was
wasn't
like
that
a
kind
big
of
thing, yeah. It skipped me.
Yeah.
So homeowners can apply for these funds, or how does the process
They can.
work?
It's a federally funded program. You have to be income eligible through the HUD guidelines. And it's open to both owner-occupant households as well as investor households. With investors, the tenants have to qualify income-wise to participate.
So that's interesting. So even though an investor may own several apartments and not qualify as an individual themselves. The actual residents that are affected by the lead paint. I guess that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the program's really designed to help the tenants, especially with children in the property, regardless of the ownership interest, whether it's an investor or owner occupier.
So what's the process? So do they have to like sandblast it out? And of course that would kind of make
no,
it
you
worse,
definitely-
right?
Definitely do not want to sandblast it out. It's probably the worst thing you can do.
So how do they handle that?
Through Massachusetts, you actually have to have a D letter who's qualified. Do the work. That D letter has received a lot of training on the proper methods to protect both themselves as an employee or a contractor, and also the occupants of the property, to make sure when the occupants come back in that they're safe, and there's no.
So I imagine they kind of
contamination.
seal it off, and
Yeah,
and
there's a
then
lot of
there's
plastic involved, a lot of cleaning. All D letters are pretty good cleaners.
Yeah.
They use a HEPA vacuum, which is a high efficiency vacuum, as well as other methods.
So they don't cover it. They scrape it or whatever to get to the bottom.
There's
Or do
several
they?
different methods.
Yeah.
You could either scrape it, you can replace a door or window,
Yeah.
or there is something called an encapsulant paint, which is pretty durable, but it's not a permanent solution
Okay.
to
So-
fixing lead paint.
So these folks that go and do the work, I mean, I imagine they have some specialized training that they get for these types of jobs.
There's two types of training, really. There's a RRP training, which is a federal training for renovation, repair, and painting. That is really for almost anyone who works on a house built before 1978. Carpenters, plumbers, electricians, if they're disturbing some of that old lead paint, they should really be certified for that renovation, repair, and painting. For de-leading, there's actually a special de-leading license. There's a few different licenses, actually. There's a low-risk license, which a owner of a property can receive that license. Takes about a day of training to do. There's a moderate risk, which is a little bit more intense. You can replace some parts. And then also really what most professional de-leaders are high-risk de-leaders. That means they can pretty much do anything. They go in, with the full suit and the mask and everything.
It sounds like those. If you have lead throughout your apartment or house, that would be the.
Yeah, if you're going to
That
do
would
it
be
as
the
a
approach you want,
contractor,
yeah.
really that's the approach you want to take. Getting that full.
And they're the
high-risk
experts in
de-lead.
it, so.
They are.
So again, how do folks out there that that maybe not sure if they have lead?
Sure.
What would they do to get it tested, or how would they inquire
Well, they
about the
could
program?
they could call the Housing Development Division 508-799-1400. We can kind of walk you through the process, get you applications, and we go from there. Once you qualify, the first thing that happens is a lead paint inspector comes out, which we send out, and they identify what areas of the home have lead, whether it's windows, doors, your siding outside. And then from there, what we do is we come up with a scope of work, basically what we're going to do to remediate the problem of lead. And then we actually assist in the bidding process. We have a group of pre-qualified contractors. There's about 16 right now on the list from all over the state. There is a lot of local contractors from both the city, Shrewsbury, Auburn, those areas, that bid on the work. And it's a bid process, closed bid.
And they must have to be certified or whatever to
Yeah,
show that they're bona fide.
There is,
Can't,
they
like,
have to
my
be.
cousin do it or whatever.
No. They all have to be high risk de-leading contractors. In addition, construction supervisors, which is the contracting license you need in Massachusetts. They have all their insurances, liability, workman's comp, and they're all members of the Better Business Bureau also.
So what's some of the other I know, so lead abatement is probably the
Sure.
biggest one. Are there other healthy, I noticed that it's not just lead nowadays?
No. Right now, through our grant, we also have what's called the Healthy Homes portion, which identifies other areas of the home that can cause health risks for both children and adults, things like mold, asbestos. We also do rodent and mice and bed bug pest control. So we can do those.
Now I hear bed bugs have made a big comeback.
They're making a huge comeback.
Is there a
right now.
reason for that, or Sean? You scoff at me.
It's just a weird thing for you to know. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people in my spare time, I am a bug technician. No, I forget where it might have. Oh, you know what it was? So my background, as some folks know, I worked with a residential youth program training program called Job Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And so at one point, one of the centers in their dormitories, had to wear. I'm not even sure they had it. They were just afraid they had it. So I was working with the Department of Labor at the time. We had to go in and have inspections, and it's kind of a big deal, obviously, to have 300 young people living in a dorm and have bed bugs reported.
Yeah,
So.
and bed bugs are hitchhikers, so one person has it, everyone has it. After that, unless you know what you're looking for, they're somewhat hard to detect, and they can spread pretty rapidly.
With a lot of these healthy home projects, do you have some sort of timeline, or would residents be expected to be out of the home, or is some of it where they can do a lead abatement in a portion of the house and they can still live in the other portion of the house?
Again, it depends on the project itself, whether maybe we're just replacing one window, we don't have to scrape any lead.
Yeah.
Usually what happens, so your typical triple-decker, they usually do one unit at a time. So say unit 1, they're doing the de-leading, the residents are in that unit. 2 and 3 can still live there, and then they just kind of trade off as they go. So we try to prevent, as much disruption as possible.
Now, what about your background? How did you get where you're at? What's the career kind of pathway?
Sure. I actually went to college in Vermont. I have a degree in business administration and also recreation resource management. Originally, I was going to be either in the ski industry, hotel, motel industry. Around when I was 22, 23, I came back in the area. Started actually.
So you grew up?
I grew up in Hopkinton.
Okay.
Went to school in Vermont. And then came back after college, a few years after college.
Up in Vermont, I think it's mandatory for anyone that goes to college in Vermont to take some sort of environmental awareness, right? Is that?
Well, at the school I went, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But
See, there you
but
go.
Yeah,
There's
they're
a,
big into
a class on bed bugs,
bed
I
bugs.
think.
No, yeah. So green energy, all that stuff is really.
So then, as a young man, you came back.
Started investing in real estate. Started my own contracting company.
Wow.
Grew from there.
And did you do some of these?
I actually ran into it in one of the properties I own. We needed to de-lead it, and rather than contract it out, I got my license and kind of went from there.
Wow. And so, did you start doing bidding on other jobs?
I did. Yep.
So you saw it's very entrepreneurial of you. You saw an opportunity, saw a niche there that you could get into, and went for it.
Yeah, that and just started to do mold remediation and all the other things associated with it. So
and then you saw there was a job with the city family opened up.
Yeah, well, I got two young sons now, so when you own your own company, it's 24/7.
Yeah.
So take a little break from that and work with the city and get things going here in the city.
That's great. Anything you want? Maybe we do have a game to play with you. We play games with all our guests here before they leave. But before we get to that, any other parting shots or anything that we haven't covered that you think the public might be interested in, either from a standpoint of getting their home checked for whatever issue they may be having, or getting into the industry? I don't know if there's any other.
Sure. For homeowners, again, the first step, you can call us directly, 508-799-1400, and you can be directed to either myself or Tim Hansen, who's the other lead paint person. We also do have other programs going on in the city, in Union Hill area, right around Worcester Academy. We have an owner-occupant rehabilitation program going on.
Bob Z, that's your home stomping grounds from back in the day, right? And so what's that about? How does that, is there special, some special programs or?
Sure, there is, as you know, the city is kind of really looking at Union Hill to do some revitalization in the area.
We're watching you, Union Hill. Got our eyes on you.
So there is some special programs up there that we can do more.
And of course, Worcester Academy has been a long time mainstay up there, and is from what I understand, re-engaging, if you will, with the neighborhood there and helping with some improvements.
They're actively talking in the city about doing some projects up there. Also, the city's gonna this spring and summer, you'll see some paving and some other
great.
I have
a shout out to my sister Deb, who who lives on Providence Street and is looking forward to some of those streetscaping improvements and all that. So.
Yeah.
It's one of those old Worcester neighborhoods that a lot of people fall in love with when they come here to the city. So
And we also have a down payment assistance program, which can help income qualified individuals kind of get the down payment they need. That's usually one of the big stumbling blocks buying a property is coming up with that down payment. You can afford the monthly payment, but that down payment, big chunk of money. So we do have a down
interesting.
payment assistance program.
I know one thing
also.
we're trying to. We've been talking to the city's economic development folks, Paul Morano and company, about maybe a better integration of some of the services that housing and neighborhood services provides to our career center customers that come in. Maybe you've just found a job, or maybe you're getting a promotion or whatever. There might be an opportunity to take advantage of some of these other programs that you have. So at least being aware of kind of the services and programs that are out there, couldn't hurt our customers. So, well, thank you for coming. Before we let you go, though, Sean has a little game we're going to play with you there.
As
Sean,
a
you
tradition,
ready?
we always do some sort of game, job-related game with our guests. So today we've got a twist on an old favorite. We've got a famous person who was fired from one of their jobs, and we've got a couple of reasons why they might have been fired, and your job is to guess which one is the real reason they were fired. So today we've got Walt Disney, and he was fired from his job at the Kansas City Star before becoming rich and famous. What was he fired for? And the choices we have are: he often missed deadlines and was caught doodling cartoons, his work contained too many typos and mistakes, or his manager thought his work lacked imagination and good ideas. So we'll give you a second to think those over. We need some music.
Think
for that.
it through. Think it through.
Let's go with the C there, the last one.
That's correct.
Wow. Hey, we got a winner.
Walt Disney's manager thought he lacked imagination and good ideas.
So you'll be receiving a special mug.
All right.
It'll come via special delivery, special courier sometime over there to your office at City Hall. Yeah, we'll get you. Remind me to get you that mug. And again, thanks for coming on the show. We really appreciate it for telling us about the programs that are out there.
And if I could just say that number one more time, it's 508-799-1400. That number will get you to any of the programs I talked about today.
So let's get folks to give you a call and take advantage of these great programs that are available. Thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Michael. I think we're going to go right to our next guest. You might have seen him on TV in the background here taking some photos. Eric Ledger. Come on down. Come on, a game show.
Down.
Come on down.
Price is right.
So Eric will get you set up with some headphones there.
All right, let me adjust everything here.
All right, how we doing?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So we appreciate you've been a great supporter of our office and a lot of the work that we're doing and IT stuff. I know Sean has been working very closely with you there. So
Yep. Eric has actually helped with Workforce Central and developing their new website, and he's actually teamed up with us to redo the CMWIB website.
So ours is a work in progress still, but
It currently is, right?
But if folks go on the Workforce Central site, which I believe is workforcecentralma.org, they'll be able to see the handiwork of you and the crew, which is top notch.
Yeah, and it really ties it into the city's website, the different format, and we're really excited about that. So I know we've been working with Eric to do some different things. We're trying to make it more active, more user friendly. We've talked about integrating some social media. I think also you do some photography work on the side too.
I do, yes.
Taking some pictures, I think, of the show today to put on the website there.
I've taken a couple.
The new
more
website.
to come.
Did you get Jeff's good side?
Yeah, we're gonna. That's a struggle. That's a struggle. We'll work on it.
So Eric, can you tell us your exact title at IT?
Sure. I am the web support specialist for the city, and I work in the technical services division, which is underneath the admin and finance department.
Can you give us a scope of like a ballpark figure of how many websites or pages or there's a ton of different city departments and offshoots that you support. So is there?
Last check, I kind of lost count, to tell you the truth.
A lot would be the answer, right? A lot.
There's hundreds and hundreds of pages and a good majority of websites, including the city's municipal website, the Workforce Central site, the upcoming CMWIB update,
So just the city's website, just the main landing page and its offshoots for the city is quite. Quite detailed.
You have to map that whole thing out,
Yeah, you've
right?
got a ton of different departments. You've got a document. You know, each one has their own special documents. Some of which legally have to get out. You know, whether it's posting of bids or RFPs or whatever. So to have and then the security of your system has to be robust enough to deal with everything. So
Exactly. I mean, there's different updates to do every day for every department that come in. And it can range from updating a document to completely revamping a department's layout. So
and then you got those workforce guys always bugging you about
workshops.
how do we put a comma in here? So how did you get involved in the work you do? What's your background?
Well, I graduated from UMass Amherst in 2004, and I was actually an art major. So I did everything from drawing, painting, sculpting. And then I kind of got more into graphic design, 3D animation.
I was going to say, did you work with artistics with the digital media as well? Or?
I did, yeah. My concentration was in computer design and photography, and so that's kind of where the photography comes into play.
Yeah.
And my thesis for my senior year was a 3D animation, and after spending that much time to get that little a couple minutes of a video, I said I can't do this for the rest of my life. It's way too tedious. So
we should have used the Walt Disney question.
Yeah, right.
So I definitely took an interest into the web design classes in HTML and focused my.
Let's go back to this thesis thing now. Is that
Sure.
video out there anywhere? Can we see this? Is it on the? It's not on the city's homepage. I'm surprised it's not. Like the banner. Click here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not there. It may be somewhere on the UMass Amherst side.
Did it
I'm not
involve
quite
some
sure.
sort of wacky character, or was it?
Yeah, it was a little alien kind of lizard-looking guy.
Did you copyright it? You should copyright it.
It's owned by the college, so they have control over
It's like the new, for the WIB website.
UMass introduces a new logo, right? It's like
a new mascot.
the new mascot.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
then,
cool.
I focused into more of the graphic design, HTML web pages, and luckily got into the position that I'm in today. And I started with the city back in 2006.
I imagine you've seen quite a bit of technology change since then. What's been some of the
Yes.
bigger changes that you've seen in the web world?
Well, even when I came in back in 2006, the city's website was done through Front Page, which if anybody knows Microsoft Front Page, it's quite an outdated program
basic,
to do websites with. So my first main project was to take the municipal website from that layout and kind of convert it to a new content management system, which is, it makes it a lot easier to update content, to change the look of the entire site with a few clicks, and it just looks so much, more.
So is it what type of platform, if you will, is it?
It's an open source content management system.
Okay.
That there's hundreds of them available, and we did a lot of research for a couple of years before we decided on one, and transitioned everything to there to make it more.
So it sounds like
cleaner
these
look.
days there's a lot out there as opposed to just like one or two main.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
And
you can tell how little I know about the like actual IT workings of a.
Yeah.
Wait, there's an internet?
Now, what do you think of those? I mean, you often see for maybe someone out there that's got either a need for maybe a personal page or a small business or something. You see those ads for like, we can, we'll provide you with, a web platform and hosting.
Like a Vistaprint or something where it's really
I'm thinking more
not
like
HTML.
GoDaddy or one of
okay, yeah.
those like services for small. I mean, are those decent for small business? And
Depending on what you're looking to do, they can be. Most of them kind of offer really basic beginner stuff as a stripped down model, and then they obviously charge you for more updated looks, or if you want to change the look of a template or the layout of something, you have to actually pay a lot more. So they hook you in by trying to make it sound like it's free or very cheap, but then as you start kind of looking at it,
it adds up. Well, you get what you pay for, I guess.
Exactly.
Medium it is, right? So, and so, with the advent of the new city layout, I mean, there's some new elements that, like, I'm thinking, like, since the original one, like, we're adding video to ours.
Yeah, I mean, even since I started updating everything, social media really has exploded and taken off. So the city has started to recently take in a lot of the Facebook and Twitter integration into our site. So certain departments have the ability to post what they want on their Facebook page, and then we kind of display and feed that into our site to tie everything together.
Yeah,
so
no, we're looking to eventually have some sort of probably more like the LinkedIn, social media and some other things to support our job seekers and support,
sure.
the work that we're doing as a board. So, and so what about for someone that wants to get, what would you recommend for a young person out there who wants to get into IT? Would you recommend they go to a specific program? Would you recommend that they just do it a lot on their own, or how would they learn about it? What's some thoughts on how a young person might advance their career in IT?
Sure. Well, there's two different kind of approaches you can take. You can take the traditional approach, which is to get into computer programming, web design straight from the beginning. And then if you have an artistic background or if you're crafty, it can help. Or you can take the approach that I did, and you kind of start with the more graphic design, photography, imagery, and work in the graphic design to computer design more, and HTML layout. So I guess it just kind of depends on what you prefer to do more. And if you just keep doing it and keep practicing, and if you start small, eventually you can just start building up to a larger portfolio.
Yeah. What's the job market like these days? Is it pretty? Are there a lot of jobs out there, and are most of the jobs project based and more like a consultant role, or are they? Is like the full time? Kind of whether it's IT or just web, kind of like web content manager. I mean, Sean and I have talked a lot about, that it seems like there's more and more companies that have like a social media manager role. What's kind of like, give us some thoughts on the IT world in general, or?
Well, it's been quite a while since I've kind of looked at the job market in that field since I've had my position, but I mean, there are a lot of various types of roles that you can take, and there are some that are just content-based, and then there are some that are more coding-based, and then there are other jobs that are design-based. So those kind of three things combined create a great website. So if you have a little bit of knowledge in each of those areas, then you're going to be ahead of the game. So if you have an artistic background, if you like to do code, and if you can visually lay out a website in your head, or kind of start from a piece of paper and lay it all out. And if you can combine all those things together, you're going to have a pretty good leg up on everybody else that's kind of looking for one specific area in the web design.
Yeah. Are there certain... Oh, go ahead, John.
How do you keep up with all the different changes? I mean, Jeff mentioned,
Yeah.
I mean, just in the past year, that with the addition of social media and video, how do you keep up with all the changes in technology and make sure that City of Worcester is at the forefront?
Well, it's just kind of a matter of, keeping yourself informed, doing a lot of research. I've taken a couple of classes in the past to just kind of learn some new techniques and new industry standards. So the more you can do research and kind of look into things.
There's some, I don't know, newsletters or blogs or anything that you follow that kind of keep you up on the trends. So again, someone maybe young out there, or maybe mid career, someone that wants to kind of get informed about what's happening in the IT world or even just the web design world. Is there certain places that you go to for kind of like information about what's new and exciting? And
there's not one in particular that I kind of follow, but I just I'll go to a lot of websites that are tech related and kind of see what's out there new, or if I find a website that I really like the layout or the design of, I'll kind of look at the source code or find out what programming language they use or different techniques that they've.
So you can like kind of backtrack.
Yeah.
And, wow.
So if
you're not hacking people, are you?
No,
let's be clear about this.
Right. So I tend to in the city side, I tend to look at a lot of other cities and towns' websites to see what they're keeping up on or what they're doing that's new, and try to see how we can integrate that into the websites that
Is there a
I
super
maintain.
duper city out there that you think, wow, that is the most?
Worcester.
No,
Yeah, the city of
okay,
Worcester
other than
one is-
Worcester, what's
it
other
is.
than Worcester? What is there any other
The poster
real
child.
exciting out there?
Well,
Uxbridge.
obviously the larger cities tend to have a lot more involved websites, and they have a lot of new features. So City of Boston, Springfield, any other major city in the area or state capitals, they typically have really good websites that you can look at for new
State
things.
capitals.
Yeah.
So going back to the changes in technology, is there any trends that you're noticing that is going to be the future of websites? I know one of the things we're talking about with developing our website was a lot of people are moving from traditional blog websites to more like a micro blogging where it's more just kind of quick things, quick updates on LinkedIn, on Facebook, instead of the traditional longer article blog.
Yeah, it does seem that the traditional blog has kind of taken a backseat to social media more. So the Facebook and LinkedIn has definitely taken over that role. There's a lot of some of the websites. They're kind of they take more of the social media piece and they bring it in. They try to make that their website, and it can work, and sometimes it doesn't because you're basically looking at a copy of their Facebook page and.
Right.
It's always good to take some of that, but then produce extra content that you need to make it a complete, robust website.
It seems like these days, too, there's a lot of content on the internet is now evolving around, it's almost like candy. You know what I mean? There's like seven celebrities that, didn't whatever. The 8, we see it in the job world, right? The 8 tips that you should not do when going in for an interview, like these lists that are out there. It seems like it's like more and more becoming like a bullet point society. You know what I mean? Like here's a few.
Well, everything's quick, right?
Right. Everything's quick and small. Like the more informed.
Spans.
Yeah, you want to keep your content fresh so that people keep coming back and they have a reason to check it. So if you have content that's been out there for a long time and hasn't been updated, then you're going to lose your viewership. So
you could create a blog like the 8 tips to a great municipal website. We can put it on there. Yeah, great.
I'll consider that.
You'll consider that. There we go. We got some content for you, maybe. So, Shauna, I know we've got
another game.
We've got round 2 of our
All
game.
right.
Now there's a lot of pressure on you
do.
because James, stepped up.
Yeah,
he stepped up.
So this one's a little bit of a different. This is our traditional game where we have we name a celebrity and we name a couple possible first jobs that they might have held.
Okay.
So this month's celebrity is Ellen DeGeneres. Are you familiar with Ellen?
I am.
So was her first job an oyster shucker, where she opened the shells of oysters with a knife
I could see
for
her
a
doing
local
that.
restaurant?
She'd be like doing her dance thing
as
she does
definitely.
it. Yeah.
Was she a traveling carnival worker? So she traveled around with a carnival and she ran the Balloon Dart game.
Oh, I could see
which
that
is
one
Jeff's
too.
favorite. He always gets.
I
the
could
big
see her be like,
prize
"Come on
that one."
down, throw your dart."
Right, she really would sell it.
Yeah.
Or was she an assistant party clown? So she assisted a clown with
Not the clown.
the assistant.
The assistant party.
Because it was her first job. I mean, nobody gets the
You don't start.
full-time clown.
You're not starting.
Career ladder there.
I forgot about the pathway for clowns. The clown internship, right?
Assisting almost like a clown apprentice.
That's right.
Assisting a clown with various events like children's parties.
Okay, so those are my 3 options.
So again, we've got oyster shucker, traveling carnival worker, or assistant party clown.
All right. Well, let's see. The previous answer was C, so I'm going to try to eliminate that one.
Wow.
Ooh.
Of the
So we
two
wouldn't go
that are
C, or would
left,
we?
Would we? Are we that lazy?
I can't see anybody having a full-time or part-time job as an oyster shucker, so I'm going to go with B.
It was actually oyster
Oh.
shucker. And she's actually from Louisiana, and she said that you can't live in Louisiana without shucking an oyster.
So there you go. Well, now you know.
Now we know.
Now you know that
Yes.
info.
I think that might be your next post on the
Blog
website.
post.
Like you open up the Worcester City website. Host disgruntled guest says game show question was rigged. Well, thanks for being on. We appreciate you
thank
taking
you.
the
Well,
time.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And we do want to publicly state all the efforts of you and your colleagues over in the city's IT department have been tremendous.
Yeah.
All joking aside, we have had a number of things that we've had to go to you for. The last couple of years, and this redesign of our website is going to be fantastic, and we can't wait for
Very
it.
excited. Yeah.
And all the guidance on the social media rollout and how that takes place. So we really do appreciate all the support that you're offering to us, and I imagine other divisions and departments that are out there in the city family. So on behalf of them, thank you for all the work you and your colleagues do. Appreciate
Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
me. I
Eric.
appreciate it, and definitely look forward to having that new rollout.
it.
Hi, this is Barry Sullivan, inviting you to join me for the Sounds of Scotia every Saturday from noon until 2 p.m. for 2 hours of great music from Scotland, Ireland, England, and Wales, right after the 4 Green Fields here on WC.
What do you want to talk about?
A little bit of my buddy that precedes me on Saturday, Barry Sullivan with Sounds of Scotia.
Oh, that
Sounds-
sounds like a good program.
Can you say that again? You sound almost like
Sounds of Scotia.
He does sound like
almost like a bit of Sean Connery in there.
Oh, yeah.
Sean Connery.
Must be
The
the
sounds
age.
of Scotia.
Sounds of Scotia.
I could kill you with my thumb. So, well, that's and so they Celtic. What is Scotia? What's Scotia music
Scotia
like?
music is a blend of the Celtic. Definitely Celtic.
With a little bit of Viking. What do we got going on there?
No, a lot of fiddle music.
Oh.
You know, a lot of fiddle music. And that's where you get the Cajun fiddle also, because they came from that part of Canada.
The French Arcadian
There's the
kind of
French Arcadians that came down and ended up in Louisiana
Sweet
with,
hoagie.
with their bayou music.
What was the name of his program again?
Sounds of
Sounds
Scotia.
of Scotia.
Sounds of Scotia.
You just wanted to hear
I
him
did,
say it
I
again.
did.
Sounds
Sounds
of
of
Scotia.
What?
Excellent. Excellent.
And
Well,
followed
we
by
really-
the polka party.
Yes. Bob
That's,
Z.
that's a good Saturday lineup.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, I am surprised at the variety of polka music that's out there. It's not just polka waltzes. It's not your grandmother's polka anymore.
No, it
No.
is, or your grandfather's polka.
That's
Times
true.
have changed.
Either one, yes. It's definitely different as you travel across the country. Different areas of the country will have different styles of polka.
Here's a question I don't think I know the answer to. Is the accordion an electric device?
It can be, or it can be acoustic.
What's the traditional kind
Because
of sound?
I've seen online that they have like accordion tournaments where it's not a traditional accordion sound, but they have like almost techno sounds from the accordion. And I don't think Bob's a fan of this. 'Cause
Yeah.
I had asked him about it, and
But a lot of
There you go.
new artists are looking for accordion players in order to produce that sound. And what has happened is there are no individuals, young people, taking accordion lessons like you would find in the 50s and 60s throughout the city of Worcester, especially in the Polish neighborhoods or the Italian neighborhoods. You would find
Well, our
one-
departing
one of
chief
those-
development officer
that's
in the
right.
city.
That's right.
You would find at least on one floor in a three-decker some child or children taking accordion lessons, and eventually those accordions ended up in closets somewhere. And I bet,
And so would they be like, "Hey, come on, we're gonna."
you know,
Go down?
as well as lead abatement, you got to go in
Exactly.
covered for accordion abatement. Yes,
Cover me,
There are a lot
Johnny.
There are a lot of accordion jokes out there. So that's one of them. I just invented one.
That's right.
That's good.
Jim, if
That's-
you ever find in your process, give me a call. I'll take care of them. I have a home for old accordions. I just received one from Virginia.
So probably the most famous accordion player, of course, is Weird Al Yankovic. Would I be right in saying that?
No.
Popular. We're talking general public now, Bob.
General public, no, not really. I don't think he was really noted for the accordion
No?
as well as his
Yeah, he
his
definitely played the
takeoff music.
accordion.
He played accordion, but it was his.
Right.
Name. Well,
His
who's
parody of
more
music was
popular? Like as popularly known.
Well,
As an
in
accordion.
general,
That-
in general, you would think of Lawrence Welk with Myron Fallon.
Yes, I
Yeah.
would.
Yeah,
Now,
I
is
would definitely.
I guess for the older set, I'm
The
gonna guess
older
like
set.
if I
Yeah.
like my aunts and uncles and stuff, they'd probably.
Yeah.
And I do remember that Lawrence Welk would have a lot of polka
Various, yes.
polka dancers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the old school polka.
That's the old school.
They're not
polka.
not
That's
rocking it like
definitely-
today.
They're not.
I saw there's a world accordion championship, and the winner was like this.
Yeah,
like
the techno, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
heard
like-
it on
it's like-
sports radio. He called up and he
yeah,
was
it's like
talking
wicked
about,
fast. And,
Yep.
and loud.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I could just see like turn it, music down.
Well, that's what's so nice about the polka party is all those different
All those
polkas
genres,
are
all
invited
those,
All
to
those
the-
different
Zydeco
genres.
is Zydeco that includes an accordion,
Yes.
and that's
that-
like a French Louisiana.
But the original sound of the Cajun music was the fiddle and a guitar. And as they settled into the southwest region of our country, the Germans migrated to Texas, in the New Braunfels area, and brought the accordions with them. And therefore, you can see the accordion in the Tex-Mex music, and you can hear the accordion in the Cajun music, and that's basically because of the German population that settled in that area.
So the accordion
So
is
it became
German,
blended.
more
Yep.
German-based?
Well, they brought the accordion. They
Yeah.
brought, that's why you have that influence in those.
Now, what's
two
the difference
music.
between an accordion and a squeeze box? Is there a squeeze box, right?
It's
I didn't know
That's
there
just
was
more
one.
of like a simple.
That-
Well, it's
that's
got a
a-
name.
no, that's just like a violin and a fiddle.
Same thing the way you play it, right?
Yeah.
Wait, a viola. Is it a viola? What am I thinking of? It's like
No,
not
that-
quite an accordion,
Bob
but
knows
it's
what you're
stretchy.
talking about.
Concertina.
That's
Concertina.
And there are various styles of concertinas too.
You're listening to the concertina on the Sounds of Scotia.
You'd
Not
probably
gonna
hear an
happen.
accordion on the polka program. You would definitely hear a concertina, which is a Chemnitzer concertina of 105 buttons that are made.
And where else but WCUW you're going to hear in
Where
the
they-
same
You're gonna-
afternoon Sounds of Scotia followed
and
by
and that.
polka.
And where else are you? What show other than the Working Lunch are you going to delve into this
Talk about polkas.
this topic? I mean, this is
How do we tie that back to job and training?
And there are several individuals that make their living.
Well, there
playing
you
polkas.
go. I mean,
Just
there are
playing
professional,
polkas.
polka players or
like Jimmy
accordion
Stewart.
players.
Jimmy Stewart, the 18-time Grammy Award winner, has performed all over the world, on stage in Nashville.
By the 18th time you get the Grammy, though, I'm thinking it's lost a
Yeah.
little bit of the magic, right? It's like,
Oh, another
okay, and the
one.
winner is Jimmy
Not
Sturr.
another one.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yes,
Right?
could be, but he loved him. He says that his first and 18th are just. It was a good experience.
Oh,
for him.
okay. Because by then it's a little bit older and it's like the last hurrah kind of feel. But like number 13, 14, 15, I'm getting.
You're getting kind of.
Yeah. You kind of lose.
And number
like,
18.
He's got him around the house. He's got like one, like, holding down some papers over in a corner.
Yeah.
Right?
Holding the door open.
In his office in Florida, New York. And,
Oh, is that?
and an Irish guy by the name of Jimmy Sturr
Ah,
received all these. And
Who knew?
You wonder why, but
see, so this is the type of information.
Florida, New
get
York.
from the
What is
show.
Florida, New York known for is onions. Large. It's a large capital, large farms of onions, and the dirt.
So upstate New York, are we?
No, Hudson River, maybe west of
Co-
West Point.
So almost near the Ohio.
No, not that
Am
far.
I in the right part of the
The
country?
Onion Valley.
Yeah,
The young
The Onion Valley.
the onion, and it's Florida, New York.
here in
and
Florida. This is New York. This is onion country.
Seward's Folly. You
I thought
remember
that was
from
Alaska.
history? Yes.
Yeah, but Seward was from that part of
was
New York.
Florida, New York.
What type of onion? Are we talking Vidalia? Or are we talking?
Yeah, that kind of onion.
It's like a sweet-
delicious sweet onion.
You can eat them like apples.
Yes. And the soil is actually, as you look over the farm, the soil actually looks black. That's how rich the soil is
Wow.
in the valleys there. And it was all, you drive down the road and it go, like a Zukowski farm for onions, and it was all Polish people. So Jimmy says he grew up listening to polka music and fell in love with it.
There you go.
Irish kid from Florida, New York.
Follow your dream, right?
Yep.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, Sean, I think it's time in the show that we're gonna we start thinking about what's going on in the mailbag, right? Now,
That's right. I see you looking to queue up
I'm,
the
I'm
music.
looking to
here.
queue up the music. It's gonna take me a minute though. So do we have? We actually
we
have
have some mail.
A mail that's come in, right?
Yep, we have somebody, Melissa from Shrewsbury, but I'll let you cue up the music before we dive into it. But just to introduce the segment, we every month we highlight a letter from some of our fans who can email in or call in with a question, and then we'll pull one each month and answer it. And again, the email address, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong on this, it's theworkinglunch@wcw.org.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. So send your questions there. We'll highlight one a month, and we'll get you an answer. So how we doing on that music, Jeff?
You know, I'm ashamed to say I hope I have the right one here. We'll see.
Uh-oh.
All right, here we
check it
go.
out.
That was very good.
That was
pretty
good.
Huh?
Jeff sang bass on that one.
That's right.
That was correct.
So Melissa from Shrewsbury, she writes, my husband is a veteran who has recently been let go from his job. Are there services available to him at the Career Center? So first off, services at the Career Center are available to anybody who walks through the door. And I also noticed that she writes that her husband's a veteran. And Workforce Central, and actually all the career centers in the state, give top priority services to our veterans and their spouses. So we can offer job leads, career planning, career training, resume services, use of our computers, internet access, and we also sponsor veterans job fairs specifically for veterans. I also want to mention that at our 3 Workforce Central career centers, we have veterans services representatives. So in Worcester, that's Bill Ryan, and he can be reached at 508-799-1600, or by email at wryan, which is RYAN, at detma, DETMA.org. In Milford, we have Larry Corbin, who can be reached at 508-478-4300, or email by lcorbin at detma.org. And in Southbridge Workforce Central, we have Diane Ramsey, who can be reached at 508-765-6430, or at dramsey, RAMSAY, at detma.org.
And I should mention, those folks have received awards through for statewide awards for the services here in Central Mass, and their responsiveness and their work with veterans through our career centers. So, I should say award-winning veteran services. So, and they really do. You can tell they really care about the vets that they're serving. It's great to see that they do get great service. I mean, obviously, these are folks that have put their lives on the line for our nation, and
our heroes at home, right?
Yeah, have taken the time to taken time away from family and loved ones to serve their country. So anything we can do to help them reintegrate with the workplace is something that's well deserved for them. So kudos to Bill and Diane and Larry and the team over there.
Yeah, and I should mention that veterans can go to the Career Center. They can attend a Career Center workshop, the CCS seminar, to learn about the different services. And following that, they can meet with one of these veterans representatives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they also do some special events over there. I know they have a Veterans Career Fair every
Career
fall,
Fair.
Some other things. So that's good stuff.
And there's some job search sites that they can help them out with as well.
So one of the other things that's out there in the news is, lately the federal government, they chip in. I'm not sure a lot of people know that. But the unemployment insurance program is a state and federal partnership, and so when someone gets laid off or they leave their job and they apply for unemployment insurance benefits, the first 26 weeks are covered through the state program, and then the federal program kicks in after that. Now, through the stimulus and with the recession, they had expanded that up to, at one point, because unemployment was so high and the numbers were so great and the need was so great, they actually had extended it through 99 weeks of unemployment. And so that's where some of the 99ers came in. People had talked about the 99-week
window.
Window and stuff. And so kind of how were they doing as a cohort and all that. And since then it's been backed off, and it's backed off not only nationally but also statewide. As the state comes down, the average unemployment for the state comes down, it has ramifications for what stabilizers kick in from the feds. Mm-hmm. And so right now, Massachusetts is actually doing fairly good comparatively to other states, at least with the official count of unemployment. And so we're down as a state to 30 weeks, I believe. Or was it? It might have been 36 as of a couple months ago, 36. And then but with the budget, the new budget that's come out and the new budget that was passed, part of the sticking point was whether those extensions would be funded.
Oh, yep.
And so the feds had cut those extensions. So some people that were on extensions, received letters that basically
those
said
benefits were going to be cut.
You're on extended benefits, and unfortunately there have been cuts federally to that program, and so you're no longer able to receive. So,
but did that letter also ask them to reconnect with their career centers?
And part of the extension program was to have them come into the career center and get reacquainted with services if they haven't already. And really they should be.
Because in some cases they may not have been to the career center
for
at
whatever
all.
reason they may have missed the orientation that they probably should have been to at one point or another. We do our best to get the word out to job seekers about the services that are offered at the career centers, and so. But right now there are a number of people in our community that are find themselves in that situation where there's over 5,000 in Worcester alone.
Yeah, 5,200 somewhere around.
Yeah,
there.
let me rephrase that. Actually, within our region,
Central Mass.
Within Central Mass, there's over 5,000, and statewide, there's actually over 58,000.
Yeah,
so
huge numbers.
Huge numbers, and for those folks, obviously, while you're looking for a job, those funds are a lifeline to you. It's going to keep food on your table, right?
Yeah, pay the mortgage, pay the bills, and the job search process, as we know, can be a lengthy process.
Yep.
I mean, especially within there, we've talked about volunteering to kind of fill that job gap, and then also if you've been unemployed for a while, there's a point where it actually works against you.
Right. Right, and a study, matter of fact, researchers from Northeastern had issued a report where they did a study. They did a control group, and they sent out basically 2 mock or dummy resumes or applications for jobs. And even if you didn't have experience in a job in a given field, you are more likely to get a call back than someone with experience being out of work over 6 months.
Right.
So there's that bias, if you will, against the long-term unemployed. Everyone's case is a little bit different, right? I think it's hard to paint with too broad a brush. I mean, certainly there are some people that may be waiting for the perfect opportunity to come along and maybe declined some jobs that they could have gotten that would have been good fits. One of the arguments against UI extensions has traditionally been like, well, if you allowing someone to get an income, then what's the incentive to go back to work? And there've been some studies around that though, and most of the studies, most of the recent studies, including one by I believe the Federal Reserve, can indicate that that's real limited. People, the benefits are so limited in scope. It's usually less than half what you were making before, and so to stay on and not actively kind of get out there and pursue something else is pretty limited, instances of that. I'm not saying it, doesn't happen on occasion. I think also it's an interesting discussion about whether someone should take a job that they're way overqualified for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because does that bump down someone else that would have been a better fit for that? It's kind of a waste of talent in some ways. Mm-hmm. On the other hand,
and pulls that away from a traditional first-time job for a youth,
or even just someone with lower skills, maybe lower education level, that could really use that job. So I think it becomes a moot point in a lot of instances, because if you've got, say, maybe you're a 7-Eleven manager, right? And you got 2 applicants in front of you. One is someone who maybe didn't go to college, who's looking for as many hours they can get, local resident. You say, okay, well, pretty good candidate. Maybe they've got some retail background. Mm-hmm. Then you've got someone else who college degree. They're looking for a full-time job within their field. Who would you hire? In some ways,
piece,
and
stepping stone for them.
A lot of long-term unemployed report that they get kind of shut out of that market anyways, just because you hear, oh, you're overqualified. Even within starting in their field, but at a lower position, they often hear, well, you're a little bit older, you've got some experience, and we can't afford you, or we know you're going to jump, again, we know you're going to jump back into something that's, more your kind of level. So while I think there's a natural hesitancy for folks to jump at those job opportunities while they're collecting unemployment, there's also a hesitancy to get hired. So in some ways it becomes, like I said, a moot point, because they're not being offered those jobs anyways. There's no real decision to make. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, Bob, we've talked off and on about some of these issues. I mean, what's your how do you feel about some of the?
Well, I know that in various states, some of the maximums for weekly unemployment insurance is like $250.
Yeah.
So I don't know how anybody is going to sit back for the 26, 24, 22 weeks and say, well, I'm going to collect because the jobs aren't there.
Yeah.
But there are some people that abuse, like everything else. You'll find one or two. You'll find
Yep.
folks throughout the country that'll abuse it.
I find this here's an interesting point. I find it interesting, right, that you will hear a lot of negative comments about, oh, they should just go back and get a job, just take any job. You should like this. They stigmatize people that are unemployed because of the bad apples, right? Like, oh, I know a guy that didn't go back to work. So they take that and they say, oh, everyone's kind of lazy, right? And they have no problem. They have no problem kind of painting with a broad brush everyone based on one or two kind of rogue bad apples, right? Which we know are out there.
But people are also speaking from their experiences. Like there's a friend down in New Jersey that can't find folks to work for him in the company.
Right.
And he's had people come in and say, no, I'm making more money collecting, so I really don't want the job, or I'm here for an interview.
Yeah, no, that's that's what I'm saying. I mean,
he's painting the brush that, they're out there and they don't want to work.
Yeah. I was talking to an employer who said, I do compete with like basically the couch, right? I mean, if someone could make just as much money without having to work, the incentives there. Now, I think we'd all agree, work in and of itself is a good thing. You're gonna network. That next experience that you might meet someone that, it's good experience for you to stay working anyways. You're gonna network. You're gonna do all those positive things, right? That you don't get if you stay home. But I do wonder, for some people that's a tough, especially when kids are involved and you've got childcare issues. I do feel bad. I know a couple of my friends that stayed home for a couple of years.
Sure.
And at first they were looking, and then they couldn't find anything, but they couldn't afford to take a lower paying job because they had childcare. They would be losing a lot of money if they had to pay for childcare while they were at work. And so they chose to back off their job search at that point unless they could find something that paid enough. So there's some nuances to this, and it's very interesting discussion. So more to come on that.
All right. We're going to be back February 26th.
We are, and in that time, we're going to have Bob Zukowski as our producer is going to be Volunteer Zukowski. You are stepping down from your position, retiring after many years of faithful service to the WIB in the city of Worcester, and to, I guess, if you look back over tracking your career, education in general. So.
Yep. That's right.
Polka party's still going on. Not
Polka party's still going on.
That'll go strong.
Every day will be a polka party.
Every day.
Everybody's invited.
Well, thanks for staying with us, everyone, for another adventurous hour of the Working Lunch. Look forward to seeing you next month.
Have a great month.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.